This is Radio Nepal. I'm Manjil Ghimire with the news. The headlines first. Local authority continues curfew imposed at Barathua of Sarlahi district, seeing likelihood of unrest following a person's death in a class. Government forms 3-member committee to investigate into the incident. Nepal's total installed hydropower capacity to reach around 3,500 megawatts within current fiscal year, and Israel claims to have destroyed Hamas command in northern Gaza. Now, the news in detail. The local authority has continued curfew imposed at Barathua of Sarlahi district since Friday afternoon, reasoning likelihood of unrest following the death of a person in a class. The curfew has been extended till 8 a.m. today. The person died in course of protest on Friday. The irate locals have not allowed removing the dead body from the incident site. 30-year-old Jayasankar Shah was killed in the clash that erupted between the demonstrators and the security personnel as the locals demonstrated for upgrading a primary health center of Barathua Municipality 6. Meanwhile, a committee has been formed to investigate into the incident. Spokesperson at the Ministry of Home Affairs, Narayan Prasad Bhattarai, said a 3-member committee led by Joint Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Thaneswar Gautam, was formed yesterday to investigate into the incident. The committee has been assigned to submit its report within 7 days. The committee comprises Deputy Inspector General of Police DIG Surendra Mainali and Investigation Director of National Investigation Department Bhim Bahadur Budathoki. Meanwhile, the Nepali Congress has expressed sorrow over the Barathua incident. Issuing a press release yesterday, Nepali Congress Party Office Chief Secretary Krishna Prasad Paudel stated that the party's serious attention was drawn towards the death of a Jayasankar Shah in a gunfire opened by security personnel. It also urged the government to carry out investigation by studying reality of the incident, to manage treatment of the injured, and to be serious towards the genuine issues raised by demonstrators. Nepal's total installed hydropower capacity would reach around 3,500 megawatts within the current fiscal year. Minister for Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation Shakti Bahadur Basnet said the country's power production so far, 2,852 megawatts, has been linked to the national grid, and the under-construction hydropower projects are expected to contribute more electricity generation. Addressing a program in Kathmandu yesterday, Energy Minister Basnet stated that the country's hydropower sector is witnessing expected progress after 2019. He said 500 megawatts electricity was linked to national grid last year, and 500 more would be added in coming 3 months. Finance Minister Dr. Prakasharan Mahad has asserted that the country's economy is in an improving trend and urged industrialists and entrepreneurs to free themselves from negative perspectives. Inaugurating the 57th Annual General Meeting of the Chitwan Chamber of Commerce yesterday, Finance Minister Dr. Mahad laid emphasis on the need of doing business with positive thinking. Finance Minister Dr. Mahad said though problems of economy have not been resolved completely, there are now some improvements as compared to the past. He argued that the country's economy faced pressure after Nepal Rashtra Bank brought a strict monetary policy, reasoning that banks invested in share market and real estate. The Nepali Congress Central Work Execution Committee meeting has been rescheduled for today. Chief Secretary at Party Office Krishna Prasad Paudel said the meeting called for 1 p.m. yesterday at Party Central Office in Sanepa has been postponed till today. The meeting has been called to hold discussions on National Assembly elections. Construction of temporary houses for the quake survivors are underwent in Rukum Pasim district. 2 months since the Jajarkot earthquake, most of the quake survivors are still living under tarpaulin sheds. Acting Chief District Officer of Rukum Pasim, Pravesh Badwal, said although 10,423 temporary houses are built across in the district in 2 months, 7,800 houses are still under construction in the district. A total of 590.2 million rupees has been disbursed to local disaster relief fund from District Disaster Management Fund for 23,608 beneficiaries so far. Similarly, police have collected details of 27,682 beneficiaries across Rukum Pasim. This news comes to you from Radio Nepal. Now on to some international updates. The Israeli army has said it has completely dismantled the Hamas's command center in the northern Gaza Strip. Army spokesperson Daniel Hagari told reporters that Palestinian militants are now operating in the area only sporadically and without commanders. He said the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, are now focused on dismantling Hamas in south and central Gaza. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, Israel has killed more than 22,000 people since the war began. On Saturday, it said it had recorded more than 120 deaths over the past 24 hours. The territory has been devastated and most of the population of 2.3 million has been displaced. Israel's offensive started after Hamas gunmen launched a surprise attack on southern Israel in 7th October, killing 1,200 people, most of them civilians, and taking about 240 people hostage. Meanwhile, Hezbollah fired dozens of rockets at northern Israel on Saturday in what it called a preliminary response to the killing of a top Hamas official in Beirut earlier this week. Saleh al-Arauri was assassinated in a suspected Israeli attack in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. A local official has said a Russian missile strike has killed 11 people, including 5 children, in eastern Ukraine. The regional governor said S-300 missile hit the town of Pokrovsk in Ukrainian-held territory in Donetsk region. In his evening video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the Russian forces had targeted residential areas. Earlier this week, Ukrainian forces launched more than 70 drones across the border into Russia after Moscow launched its biggest aerial bombardment. This led to evacuations in southwestern city of Belgorod in Russia. The U.S. airline regulator has ordered the grounding of some Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets after part of one plane fell off during an Alaska Airlines flight. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, said the inspection would affect 171 planes. On Friday, the Alaska Airlines flight had to make an emergency landing after takeoff from the U.S. state of Oregon. United Airlines says it has carried out the inspections required by the FAA on some of its 79 Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes. According to flight tracking data, in Friday's incident, the Alaska Airlines flight from Portland, Oregon to Ontario, California has reached 16,000 feet when it began its emergency descent. The airlines carrying 177 passengers and crew landed safely back in Portland. Now the general weather forecast for the country. With the partial influence of westerly wind across the country, Meteorological Forecasting Division has forecast the weather to be partly cloudy in the hilly areas of Kosi, Bagmati, Gandaki, Lumbini and Karnali province and mainly fair in the rest of the country today. There are chances of light snowfall at one or two places of the high hilly and mountainous region of Kosi and Gandaki province today. According to the latest information provided by the division, the minimum temperature of Kathmandu Valley is recorded as 4.5 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature as 17.5 degrees Celsius. With this, we have almost come to the end of this news bulletin from Radio Nepal for this hour, but before wrapping it up, let's have a reminder of the headlines once more. Local authority continues curfew imposed at Barathua of Sarlahi district, seeing likelihood of unrest following a person's death in a class. Government forms 3-member committee to investigate into the incident. Nepal's total installed hydropower capacity to reach around 3,500 megawatts within current fiscal year, and Israel claims to have destroyed Hamas command in northern Gaza. This is all we have for this bulletin. Our next bulletin in English will be at 2 in the afternoon. You can listen to us online on our website at www.onlineradionepal.gov.np and our mobile app. For more news and information, keep listening to Radio Nepal. Have a good day.